Indiana Jones, Indiana. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones, Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we get to the heart, finally, of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Joe Christopher Heartless Porter.
And I'm Indiana Jonestown.
Welcome, Indiana Jonestown.
Otherwise known as Chris Eliopoulos, but whatever. I'll go by Indiana.
The excellent
The
Chris
name.
Eliopoulos. Yeah, we named the dog Chris Eliopoulos. Welcome back, Chris.
Thanks.
You're here just in time to see something gross happen.
I know.
That's going to be all right. We're all
Hold me.
grown-ups. We can
Hold
handle
me.
it now. This is, of course, minute 64 of Temple of Doom, and minute 64 begins with the birth of the PG-13 rating, and it ends with a heartless guy being lowered in a cage into a fiery pit.
Well, we're just going to rip right into this here. Let's, yeah. Talk about what every 12-year-old in 1984 is thinking about, during this minute. Mm-hmm. Are all you guys in your sleeping bags? What exactly happens when Mola Ram rips out the guy's heart? Because right before this, Mola Ram incants Kali Ma and extends his fingers to the Kali idol. And I'm wondering, so do his fingernails grow and become razor sharp? Or is the transformation on the victim's side? Like, does his chest become gooey and soft like an underbaked pot pie?
It does look a little plastic. Looks a little rubbery. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
I was wondering if they went to Cake Boss and had like a chest cake made, because that's what it looks like.
well, that's what I'm wondering. Is it's like, where's the so Pete? You kind of said in the last minute, he holds his hands up to the statue and he asks for the power of Kali, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now he says, like, after he reaches in, he says, now his life is in my hands. Do the sacrifice.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
It always struck me that, like, he was getting the strength to just plow through the guy's sternum and get through there. Like, Kali gave him some sort of super fingertip power.
Because there's no bones, right? It doesn't go through the rib cage. It goes, like, how does he get through the rib cage?
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Where's the magic, Kali? I mean, is it in his hand, or is it in the? Does it make the guy's chest soft and disgusting?
Well, maybe not surprisingly, I have a theory about this.
Oh,
And this was made. There was something that was very popular not too long before this was made. This was like on those In Search Of shows, or like those Reader's Digest, like weird happenings books. There was something, especially in the Philippines, but it was all over American TV at the time, called psychic surgery. Mm-hmm. And people claimed that they could do surgery on a human being, and they would reach into their chest and pull out, or like reach into their stomach or their chest and pull out an organ.
there was
And
an
it looked
Incredible
exactly
Hulk
like
episode that was like that. where
Yeah,
they did that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And so I think that he's doing a magic trick. Like, I think this whole thing is a con, that they're trying to trick Indy and the British into thinking there's something going on here. And so they're going to cause a little bit of a conflict, and they're going to rally support. And that's why everyone's talking about the mutiny of 1857, because they're trying to start a new one.
Well, so that's exactly like Scooby-Doo.
Burn. But like nothing in this scene makes sense. They're standing right above hot lava. Indy's wearing like a winter coat and a hat, and he's not hot. Like, he's not at all uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't burn, really. I mean, it's like he's over this lava vortex, and he seems perfectly comfortable, other than, he's scared. And the way he holds up the heart, and it catches on fire, looks exactly like some kind of a magic trick.
Yeah, but doesn't he burst into flames later or something? Or,
Yeah, like a magic.
Not
Like,
to jump ahead.
but that's the part that, like, that would really, like, sell the trick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
but I can only do it once.
It's probably not that exciting to Larry.
No, he hates
But
this
it's not
trick.
that magic tricky to him. Even though he might still have his heart when he gets immolated.
But see, I'm saying that doesn't happen to him. I'm saying that's part of the trick. Like that's the sleight of hand. And then, Indian and the British guys are going to go back. They're going, oh my God, they ripped out a guy's heart, and then he was still living, and they lowered him in a thing, and everyone's going to be like, sure.
Yep.
But how do they know he's dead?
No one really sees what happens when he's lowered into the pit.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like like the beginning of the movie where no one really sees what's inside the dragon's mouth.
Yes.
Right. The guy's just in a horrible Busby Berkeley musical.
He's got guys, you can bring me up now.
I'm done.
I like that. That's
Scene.
hilarious. That's like every Scooby-Doo episode then.
Yeah. But speaking of the chest effect, they didn't actually reach into a guy's chest. That's a special effect. But
What?
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to ruin the magic of it for you. But yeah, it does look super, kind of shiny, plasticky, and fakey. But I do really like the way, like just the motion of Molaram's hand going in there, and it's kind of like working his way in there and just kind of rooting around in there, and then he pulls out a heart.
Yeah.
I think it's really satisfying in some weird
It's
way.
like, oh wait, that was a long. No, I don't want that part. No.
Yeah. Oops, no,
He's going around the rib cage. He's trying to get around the sternum.
Well, I mean, you'd think all in all, it's a very, very clean heart extraction.
yeah. It even
Yeah.
cleans itself up. It like
Yeah.
closes
Yeah.
up on its
It
own.
cauterizes the ends. No blood comes
And
squirting.
there's no blood squirting out, and the chest cavity even heals, like it heals right back up. And I thought, okay, so if Mola Ram was not embroiled in this Kali death cult, I mean, he'd be in the vanguard of cardiology. I mean,
Yeah.
I was thinking he was going to Vegas to perform act.
Right. Yeah. I need one.
Headline.
I need a volunteer from the stage, from the audience.
he can, he removed the heart without any clamps. The chest cavity closes without any stitches. He can literally rip a patient's heart out, like unclog it, whatever ventricles are troublesome.
Right.
And he could put, just put it back in where he found it. And Kali's reputation would, be cleansed. She could go back to being the goddess of compassion.
Sure.
And so I'm thinking, what went wrong here? Like, at the Cleveland Clinic, there should be a cardiac tower called the Mola Ram. And I don't know
time.
what. Yeah, I don't know what happened. He's using all his powers.
Yeah.
Do we know? I mean, why? Well, this might be a silly question, but why does he have to take the guy's heart out?
I know why.
Right. Well, that was the point I was asking. What is the point of this ceremony?
Yeah.
Taking his heart out and showing, like,
He has to take the guy's heart out because they're just stealing the thing from the Aztec human sacrifice.
I mean, okay, yeah. Was that a thing
mean,
with like a lot of sacrifices? Were
Oh
they,
God,
like,
yes, yeah. That
Yeah.
whole Aztec and sort of Mesoamerican Indians used to do that. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, I was in Chichen Itza, which is in Mexico, sort of not too far from Cancun, and they have the ziggurat that they would perform the human sacrifice on, and they would rip the guy's heart out.
Wow, while he was alive?
Yes, most definitely while he was alive.
All right.
Or and it was frequently, as they say, the virgins in the well. They'd throw the virgins in the well and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
it was very much, this sort of sacrifice to the gods to ensure, a robust growing season.
I think they should just concentrate on their agriculture and their skills there, and not rip people's hearts out. That seems a little jerky. But okay.
Well, that's what is kind of strange, that they use something. I mean, that type of ripping heart out sacrifice is always associated with sort of the Aztecs or Mesoamerican culture. I mean, it's one of the things that they're known for. It's strange that
Yeah.
they put it halfway around the globe.
Yeah.
It's weird
Yeah.
that they were inaccurate about that. That they just mixed and matched however they needed it.
I
Yeah.
just
And they're gonna go to New Orleans soon too.
So, can I bring up something that I know this is Pete's job, but seeing a guy put in like a sort of a cage and lowered down into a subterranean place to get something happening to him? Is that sort of like a carbon chamber? Is he kind of wish fulfilling on someone else in a dream?
Possibly. Well, I was apparently hallucinating a couple minutes ago, thinking that I still think I did, that I heard the carbon freezing chamber sounds when all that steam is going around Molaram's head and stuff when he's introduced. And I'm not convinced yet that I didn't hear it, so I think you're onto something.
Yeah, that's going on the list, definitely.
Indiana Jones serves a great purpose here in the scene. He reminds the audience, points out, that in case they missed it, that the guy's still alive, even though his heart's been pulled out. And that
Yes.
Thanks for
drives
that.
me insane. I can't stand stuff like that. Like we were talking in Cairo about how we were like, wait, none of these streets go together, whatever stuff. The continuity's all crazy, and somebody told the story of like, oh yeah, Steven Spielberg is famous for saying, well, if they're noticing that stuff, we've lost them. Like I'm gonna notice that the guy's alive with his heart being ripped out. Like that's not gonna slip by me. You're not gonna lose me with that. You don't need Indiana Jones to fill me in on that.
He's a Johnny sees what he says.
He absolutely is Johnny sees what he says. He's yeah. Oh,
Well, I like the way you phrased it there, because then he's hallucinating it instead of Johnny says what he sees. He's
Sees what he says. I said Johnny sees what he says.
and I went with it.
Well, I actually think they put that in there because they're showing you that in these movies, there's always a religious or mystical or basically divine intervention. And so at this point, we're seeing, yes, Kali is a character in the movie, and yes, she's present right here because the dude is still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something
I mean
going
that's yeah.
Okay.
So that's all I kind of. It's sort of as as Yahweh shows up from time to time in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I guess this
Yeah.
is that moment for me that I thought. But sure, you're allowed to think it's stupid.
No, I don't. No, I just think it's stupid that Indy has to tell us that the guy's still alive.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. I see that. I'm watching the movie Indiana Jones. Thank you.
Well, I think he's just surprised that he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. So he's sort
Yeah.
of like in awe. The problem I have with him is that Willie freaks out and jumps behind the rock. Short Round keeps looking. What kind of parental figure is he that he's just like not like taking this poor kid and going, "Don't look at this."
Right.
You know?
As long as
Yeah.
it's not severed
I mean-
fingers, he doesn't care. He can see anything.
Like I remember as a kid, I'd be in a car and we used to be able to sit in the front seat when we were little. And my mother, whenever time she would stop short, she'd always put her arm out in front of
Yeah.
me, even though I had a seatbelt on. And I feel like he should have been doing that with him. Like, just get out of here. Like, don't look at this.
Yeah.
You're too young for this. But he's just like, meh.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll keep looking.
There was that one time in the jungle where he guarded Shorty from seeing something gross and scary. But he's killed a guy in front of him. He was gonna tell him about making out with Willie if he got to first base or something. And he's not being the most protective paternal figure.
First base. He was planning on hitting a grand slam.
Well, whatever
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
And the irony is, the original time we're at the Pete. What do you call the shrine?
Oh, the first shrine of mild discomfort.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. At that one, he says to Shorty, "Don't come up here."
Yeah.
And you're like,
exactly.
and in this scene, he's literally up there.
Yeah, check this out.
Yeah.
Willie, don't miss a thing. Shorty, don't miss a thing.
Those fingers were nothing. Look at the heart.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, yeah.
crazy.
The other
super
thing, though,
gross.
is that, like, Willie screams and he kind of pushes her in the background, he pushes back. And I was wondering, like, I don't know, how far away are they? Like, how well can they see exactly what's happening?
Well, we can see everything that they're seeing. Like
Yeah,
they're like
we
when they
can't,
first come
but-
in, we see over their shoulders and everything.
I don't
So
know.
we
I
can-
need glasses. I mean, if I was that far away, I couldn't see that it was actually the heart or something. I'd be like, oh, he's hugging that guy.
But usually in the
I'm
loge,
just saying.
they've got some little binoculars or like field glasses kind of things. You can
Oh,
look
yeah.
through. So
That's
I
a
bet
good
they have
point.
opera
That's a
glasses
good
on a little
point, yeah.
chain.
Yeah.
Because she sees crystal clear what happened.
Right.
Yeah. And they've got like the little subtitles on the little red thing that goes in front of them, and they
Yeah.
Well, it is like a theater. Maybe they have the big giant screens that like broadcast it on either side of the stage. You know, like
Jumbotron.
It will not surprise anyone to hear me say that I kind of like Willie again. I keep her freaked out face when she goes behind the rock and she's all freaked out and she's kind of hyperventilating. For some reason, I find that very endearing, and I'm on her side again. I can't help it. It keeps happening, and I apologize. And
I don't know why she didn't just run away.
Why doesn't she? She's got a nice, comfy, palace bedroom, like connected to this entire place. She can just run back
you
through
gotta go
there.
through bugs to get
get
there.
through some bugs, get through a trap, but she'll be fine. She can
Although
go
in
to
an
bed.
earlier draft, she does. She tries to go back to get help from Blumbird.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And why Blumbird? Why not Chatterlal?
Well, she does. There was that scene that Sully told us about, that that they get captured, but she escapes, and then she heads back to her room and finds Chatterlal, and he's like, boo, I'm a bad guy too. You dummy. But I love, while she's freaking out, I never noticed this before, Indy looks back at her and kind of puts his hand on her shoulder, like kind of reassuringly. I'm like, oh, look at this guy. That's like the third, actual tender, nice thing that he's approached her with, that he's, treating her like a human being a little bit.
Well, not too much. He just puts his hand on her shoulder and he's like, yeah.
Well,
it's not that
he
interesting.
seems concerned. He's like taking his eye away from like this crazy sacrifice from 100 years ago to check on Willie. Well, we should ask you, Chris. Like, what are your thoughts on Willie and Shorty and heck, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? Like, what are you?
Oh boy, do we want to go through this whole thing?
Well, we've been talking for like a day and a half, but what's your baseline?
Oh God, you know what it is? I when I first saw this movie, I didn't realize it was a prequel.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that until years later. But a lot of what they did makes sense to me afterward when I realized it, is that they were really copying those old serials, and in those serials, they always had the racist stereotype sidekick. Mm-hmm. If you ever look at the Spirit comic, the Spirit has a sidekick who is just an African American kid, and it's just like I think the kid's name is Ebony. Like that's how racist it was, and it had like that racist look, the stereotypical racist look. The women were always kind of like damsels in distress who always needed saving, and I get that's what they were trying to do, but the problem is you went down the road with the previous movie where it took some of those old stereotypes and those old things and turned them on their head, making Marion more forceful. Like that was unexpected. Yeah. And now you're going backwards and you're going to the woman who can't do anything.
Yeah.
And, it's awful. And then, there's always, especially if you look at comic books, there's always been a history of a sidekick. It's always Bucky Barnes or Robin, or there's always the little kid that goes into danger with the heterosexual older man, and that's said with a joke, but into danger, and nobody seems to have a problem putting these kids in danger. So I think it's almost a play on those old comic books. But the movie in general, I think it doesn't work for me for a few reasons. I think it's so plot driven as opposed to the other movies where they were, like Indiana Jones had a character and then he had to follow clues and figure things out. It seems like in this whole movie, things just sort of happen one thing after another, and they don't really lead anywhere based on his investigations or his knowledge of the situation.
Yeah, that's
true.
And so you get lost. It's like, okay, so a guy tries to kill him. Why? We don't know.
Right.
He then goes into her room to check it out and just happens to notice like some breeze going by and just happens to think to push open this secret passage, not knowing where it goes, what it's for, and it just leads them exactly to where they wanted to be and see, everything was just kind of like a plot as opposed to like, the previous movie where he had to do investigating and he was out for a goal. Like, I don't think we ever felt like there was a true goal to this movie. In the first one, it's to find the Ark and save it. In the last movie, it's to find the chalice and to save his father. And you saw what those goals were, and you saw him figure it all out and kind of get screwed up along the way because he's just inept sometimes, and has to fight his way out. So I think that's the problem I have with this movie, is that you don't really have a clear set goal, and things just sort of happen, and of course, it makes no sense.
Yeah, we've noticed that. We get confused.
Sorry, that was a really long.
No,
that was good.
It's good to know.
Well, in this one, he's running from something. I guess, begins in Shanghai, and he's running from a situation gone afoul, a trade. And it's true. It's not. I mean, he just sort of happens to land in the Mayapur village, and then they tell him the story. Yeah, it's just a different thing.
It's just a bunch of stuff that happened.
It's just a bunch of stuff that happened. But yeah, it's I don't know. It kind of stumbles its way through like that wheezing kid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I asked because I keep getting. I assume that I hate Willie going into the movie, but I keep finding parts of where I'm finding her very endearing, and I'm. I don't know if I'm Team Willie the way Pete over here is. Jeez, I'm practically ready to marry her. But
He drank some blood and he just thinks she's wonderful.
maybe that was it. Pete, you did drink that blood the other day. You haven't been the same since.
The problem is it's still Indiana Jones, and so you love it.
Of course.
Yeah, it's Indiana Jones.
Well, you
so
love the character
Yeah,
and-
there's a bullwhip and a hat, and I mean, you just love it.
It's 1984.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's the
Yeah.
the worst movie ever made, but I see the fault in in this one and where they went wrong. And what's interesting is seeing them correct it for the third one, and then totally lose it on the one that doesn't exist. Can I just point out a thing that again I mentioned on the previous show, that the set was kind of like wonky looking and sort of fakish looking, and if you notice when the chains get lowered, when he gets lowered and the chains are there, and you can see what's supposed to be solid rock of these arms going up and down and shaking.
Oh yeah.
So I was thinking that either they are really bad masons and maybe they need secret society to secret society and bring the masons in to help them shore that up a little bit. Or it was just really poor planning in terms of set decoration.
Could be. I mean, maybe they were limited by the materials they could use that they're all just getting from like this lava cave. Maybe it's like some kind of
Maybe it's melting the rock a little bit.
pumice that's
Yeah. There you go.
got a little give to it.
Yeah. Can I point out there's one nice piece of set decorating?
Sure.
If you look at second 55 at the guy's drum, there's like an Ewok skull and there's a skull of Gizmo from Gremlins.
Are you serious?
Whoa.
Man, really?
Kind of looks like it.
Oh my god. I got to see that. That's
God,
awesome.
that's kind of crazy looking. Wait, what is
I want
going
that to
on
be true.
here? Wait, every person should go to second 55.
I've done.
Look at those skulls.
Yeah, our friends from Gremlins Minute
my
can chime
gosh.
in, but I think it looks like Gizmo, and I think it looks like one of the Ewoks from one of those Ewok movies.
Oh, they're creepy.
Yeah,
There's
they
definitely no
are.
water
The
down
one
there.
looks a little bit like a goblin from Lord of the Rings.
A little bit. One
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like Linda Blair in The Exorcist.
We can do this all day.
Hey, there's my mailman.
And you get a great shot of those really beautiful cricket shakers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were admiring those earlier. I don't know what you were talking about, to be honest, but now that I see them, I get it.
Yeah, they're kind of fascinating. They look like maybe they're metal.
Is that the thing that looks like bells? Or are those the cricket shakers?
Well, what the guy's got in his hand, and he's shaking.
Well, like the tall tubes or the things
Yeah,
that
the
look
tall
like...
tubes.
Oh, okay. Because then there's another guy that looks like he has bells, like church bells in his hand.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, you mean the guy on the far right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are shakers.
Oh, those are the cricket shakers. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they can be whatever you'd like, Pete. Those can be the bells. Yeah.
Well, the guy on the
That's
left
nice.
looks like he has like those rain sticks, where you turn it over and it goes like.
Yeah, he does.
Right.
He totally
Or a
does.
giggle stick.
I'm telling you, I think I think they got a lot of this stuff just at pawn shops. The
be.
giggle stick.
Gizmo.
Yeah. A little shrunken skull.
Hey, speaking of the music, I think it's a little dumb that the chorus is singing Mola Ram. I think it's a little silly. I don't like it. And you know what else? I think we were talking about this a little yesterday. I think I want to decide that this is not music that's in the scene. I think this is just on the soundtrack to the Temple of Doom. I think this is just movie music and not like scene music.
Oh.
Oh.
Really? So they're
I-
not.
It makes more sense to me. Like we said, they're like female voices, and there aren't any females around. And it's dumb that they're saying Mola Ram. It's kind of silly. I don't know. I think so. I think the drums are there, and I think like maybe there's some chanting going on, but like the Molaram, Molaram, I think that doesn't ring true or authentic to me.
But we had this discussion when Indy shows up at Pankot Palace, and there was the trumpet blast.
Yeah.
That sort of English horn blast, and we thought, well, is that the doorbell? Does Indy hear that, or is that just for the audience to hear?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's debatable.
I
planting my
think
flag.
that we're supposed to believe that that's actually happening in real time. The singing and the chanting and the Mola Rama-ing.
I think you're probably right, but I don't like it.
But okay.
So I'm going to go with it's just on the soundtrack to the movie, and I'll listen to it when I get home. I could be wrong.
I do like the cinematography of the Indy shots. Like he looks like Indiana Jones in those close-up
He
shots.
does,
yeah.
Up in the,
Yeah.
Like he just does. Like it just does really good. Like because it's such a different look than the big scene because it's just such a big cavernous place. It's hard to light, I would assume. But he looks really good in there. He looks like Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
He always looks tan too. He's always tan.
It's very hot in there too, and very red. And he's very tan.
Could be.
Well, do we have anything else for 64?
Oh, yes, we do. This
Do
just
we?
in from
Oh.
Professor Christy Porter.
How did I know?
That's just revoltipating.
That's her note?
Yeah, that's her
She
note.
went all the way to the telegraph office with that message and like paid like the 3 cents to send that
that
message.
and actually it said, "You owe me big time." I don't think she wanted to watch this minute.
Poor Christy.
Yep.
Well, that's what she gets for being your sister.
We do talk about the flaws of this movie, but every kid who was alive in 1984 knows this movie because of this minute.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still all in our sleeping bags right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. This has been a wonderful sleepover.
it has
It's
been.
like, yeah, I think I see the sun coming up.
No, totally.
Yeah.
It's weird. Your dad's going to get up soon. It's creepy. Chris, where can people find you and your works and sample your wares and see what you're up to?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Eliopoulos. Good luck spelling it. I do also do a line of children's books called Ordinary People Change the World. You can find them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, anywhere good books are sold.
Those have been on fire this past year. You
Yeah.
came out with like some new ones.
Yeah.
You just came out with the Jim Henson one? Is that the latest one?
Gandhi?
Yes, we're doing Gandhi and Sacagawea is coming out in September, October.
Awesome.
And then... and so Jim Henson was out, and then previously we had Jane Goodall, which went to number 2 on the New York Times bestseller
Wow.
list. So
Yeah, those
That's
books
amazing.
are
yeah,
great.
they're doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
So that's where you can find me. Thanks.
Awesome. And Jared, where can people find us to not find us on the New York Times bestseller list?
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest they go to IndianaJonesMinute.com, where there's all sorts of other pages with Pete Mummert's extensive research on the Star Wars Indiana Jones dream thing. Also, they can join the discussion. We have a Facebook page. It's Indiana Jones Minute Listeners Crusade. And there's all sorts of discussions about, like, is the music real? Is it just in our head?
Is Jared
And
right?
lastly,
Is Tom
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And lastly, we have the hotline, 724-LOST-ARC. Call and let us know anything you think about any of these Indiana Jones movies. Well, the first 2, because we're just doing those yet now. But
Pace yourselves.
yes, pace yourselves, yes.
And after that, have a lovely day. And then come back tomorrow for minute 64 of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
But it'll be 65.
Whatever. Hey, listen, no, come back tomorrow. Listen to 64 again because it was so good. You've saved it on your phone. Then come back for minute 65 of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
We'll have a whole new sleepover.
Yeah. Tom, Taylor, Tom.
Taylor, Tom.
It's a podcast about Molar Ram.